to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I beat you to it, didn't I? You was about to go for that.
I was just about to go for the intro and you snapped it up.
I'm Stu with the other voices, of course, Blake Harrison. How are you, mate?
Very good, mate. Very good. Kids went back to school today. So I miss them. I miss my little mates. Yeah. I want them back. Miss my friends. A bit lonely.
It's quite selfish.
Yeah.
Don't worry about their education. I'm playing Xbox on my own.
Look, I want to watch Pixar movies and play Mario Party with my kids.
Yeah.
And I don't care about their education. That's what I want to do.
Is that your excuse as well to do that, so you don't get told off by your missus for actually not doing a lot?
What, like when they're around or like now?
Yeah, no,
like
when they're around, it's all right. No, I'm just playing with the kids. Playing with the kids.
Yeah, I'm playing with the kids, babes. It's okay. No, I know the cooking and the stuff needs doing. The house needs cleaning, but like, I'm playing with the kids.
Yeah.
So I just can't do it.
This whole thing is you're having to do stuff around the house again now because the kids aren't there that you can use as an excuse to not do stuff.
No, because for the first few days, if I play Mario or anything like that, I'm going to say, they're with me in spirit. It's how I get through the day.
Oh, fantastic. I've got to take my youngest back to university tomorrow. And yeah, that's a bit weird because you sort of drop them off and then they don't come back at 3:30. They come back about 3 months later and you end up
and that whole time, what have you had? Just one message being like, Dad, can I have some money?
But basically that, but times maybe 5 messages. Like,
fair enough.
It's just that. Can I have some money? Can I have some more money? Yeah. So that's exactly what it is. But do you know what? Yeah, driving into work this morning, I was just like, why is there so much bloody traffic? And I was like, kids go back to school today. So there you go.
Back to school, baby.
Right.
Well,
you're going to have to find something to do with your kids this weekend, Blake Harrison, because, the UFC is going down at a sensible hour.
Sensible hour. Do you know what? I feel like we should mention this. I took screen grab of this. We said a while ago we wanted people to message in if they also have trouble watching the UFC regardless of what time it's on. And we did have Joe Away message in to us. Said, listening to your news show from July 30th. I can relate to being an MMA fan struggling to watch the cards from UK, but I live in Korea. 2 little boys that are 4 and 5. US main cards start around 10 to 11 a.m. on a Sunday morning in Korea. Can't watch them at home for obvious family reasons. Just let them watch it, mate. Just be fine. So usually I watch Sunday afternoon on my phone whilst the kids watch some animated nonsense on the big TV. Occasionally, I'll manage to negotiate a Sunday off and a day drinking and UFC in the pub commences. However, I have been known to tell my wife I'm going hiking on those days. So she gets suspicious when I roll in drunk late Sunday afternoon when I'm supposed to have been in the mountains all day. Love the show. All the best, Joe. Thanks very much, Joe.
Cheers, Joe.
I think it's just so weird that, like, even at normal hours, if you're a UFC fan in Europe, there's still a reason you can't watch the card properly.
It's not easy, is it? It's not easy.
No doubt that will happen to me this weekend as well. But I am really looking forward to it because it's an absolute banger of a card going down in Paris.
Do you know what,
but before we go on, what?
Do you know what you're going to do, right? When you sit there and you watch a UFC this weekend, right? Get yourself some little sweetie treats.
Oh, keep talking.
Yeah, I'm telling you, right? Strap in, right? You need to go to Fat Candy, right? Go over to Fat Candy, get yourself some freeze-dried sweets, and also give us a follow on the socials and give Fat Candy a follow on the socials. There'll be some big news coming soon about what's happening with the MMA Fan Show and Fat Candy. Some big developments, and we're very excited. And we can't say anything yet, but in the meantime, you can still use that discount code SWEETMMA and get your hands on all of their great stuff. So go head over to Fat Candy, give them a follow on the socials, and yeah, because it all helps. It helps with us because they're our sponsors, and also the more the more you buy from them, the more they keep sending us free shit, which means that we get to eat all the sweetie treats.
That's lovely. And yes, that discount code is SWEET MMA. That's SWEET MMA. And if you do buy a pack using that code, then we would like you to, whenever you open that packet of Fat Candy sweets, just sing the jingle, which goes a little something like this.
How's it go?
Fat Candy.
Boom. There you go. There you go.
Right. There's been some fight announcements, Stu, with him. Before we get on to Paris and that loaded card, we've had fight announcements. Now, the main one, let's go to UFC 322, which is in Madison Square Garden on November 16th, I believe. The headline, it's no big shock, no big secret, really. Islam Makhachev getting his title shot against Jack Della Maddalena, who's defending his welterweight strap. We've spoken about this fight a few times on this show during when we had question and answer episodes and stuff. So we've not got a huge amount more to say about it until the time comes that, we'll do a preview show and that. But it's happening in New York. It is a fantastic fight. I believe it's probably happening in New York because Tom Aspinall was told by the UFC they're going to, make it right by him, the fact that he's been on the sidelines for so long. He didn't want to fight in New York because of the tax situation. And he wanted to go to Abu Dhabi instead. There's no tax there, as far as I believe. And so Islam Makhachev is taking the headliner spot in New York, where normally he would fight, probably in Abu Dhabi. Probably a good thing for Jack Della as well. He's not going into enemy territory. The little things I've seen on this is Islam Makhachev maybe struggling to put on the weight, or at least that's something that's been said by his team, that he's not putting on the weight as easily as he thought he would. And we all know size matters. I don't know how much of that is actually true or not. He's still got plenty of time to put on that weight. Do you have anything more to say about this that we haven't already kind of spoken about with this fight before?
Not really. I think it's too far away at the moment. I think when it gets a little closer and you sort of start to see any sort of footage of him training and seeing what he looks like walking about, I think you'll get a bit more of a grasp on, the size of Makhachev. But yeah, I think in the meantime, I don't think there's anything left that we haven't really spoke about already. I think it's a way off yet, and yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really interesting fight, and me, I want to see JDM win because I'm a big fan.
Yeah, we're going to move on and we're going to talk about other fights because, as we said, we've spoken about this one, but I don't want anyone to misunderstand, even though we're probably giving this fight less airtime than the other fights that have been announced.
As it gets closer, it's going to get a lot of chat.
Well, it's the one I'm most excited about out of all the fights that have been announced, I think. This is an incredible fight. I'm really, really looking forward to this fight. But we've already spoken about it as much as I suppose we can, unless there's any new developments or until the fight rolls around and we start actually delving into tape and how we think that fight's going to go. But make no mistake, Islam Makhachev going up in weight to fight Jack Della Maddalena, especially after Jack's last performance against Bilal, that is a phenomenal fight. I'm really looking forward to that one. The co-main event of that is a super fight as well. Zhang Weili doing a Makhachev, stepping up in weight, vacating the belt, stepping up in weight, and taking on Valentina Shevchenko. How do you feel about this one?
Really excited.
Yeah.
I think... Was there any fights for either of those that was going to get people as excited as this? No chance. And
there were contenders. Virna Jandiroba, who we will talk about in a bit as well, was the contender at strawweight. And Natalia Silva, I think, is a really exciting contender at flyweight, someone that I think could still go on and be a champion, and is someone I'm really looking forward to seeing compete whenever she fights. I think she's absolutely fantastic.
But don't in terms wet your whistle like this, mate.
No, the time is now. This fight had to be done now. It's been rumoured for a while, and they've kind of swerved each other, not necessarily intentionally, but, they fought other people instead. This is the moment now. Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. It's going to be an absolute cracker of a fight. I really hope it's a stand-up fight because that will just be more exciting. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Shevchenko tries to take this to the ground, like what she did in some of the Grasso fights, and utilize that kind of weight advantage, really. In terms of age, I actually thought Zhang was a fair bit younger than Shevchenko, because I just think of Shevchenko has been around for so long. There's only 18 months difference between the two of them. So there won't be much of an advantage for Zhang in terms of age or anything like that. But I believe Valentina Shevchenko is only an inch taller than Zhang. So maybe she won't have as much height and weight advantage as we think. But then you got to remember, Valentina Shevchenko once fought at bantamweight, whereas Zhang's a champion at strawweight. So you would imagine the size advantage is definitely going to go to Shevchenko here. And will she try and use her grappling because of that, like she has done recently with people? It would make sense for her to try and do that. But then Zhang Weili has been able to stuff the takedowns of Tatiana Suarez and Carla Esparza, who may not be the size of Valentina Shevchenko, but they're fantastic wrestlers. So maybe Zhang is up for that challenge. I think the other thing to mention here is that the winner of this fight is going to be the pound-for-pound #1 female fighter on the planet. It's not just a belt up for grabs; it's pound-for-pound status as well. Yeah, I just think this was the right time to make this fight. I'm really excited about it. Zhang's on a 5-fight win streak since those 2 losses to Rose Namajunas. And Shevchenko, like the narrative for Shevchenko up until really recently was that, she slowed down a bit. She lost to Grasso. Then there was the draw with Grasso. Then she did beat Grasso in quite a one-sided victory. And then she dealt with Manon Fiorot really handily as well. So maybe she's put that talk of her being past her prime to bed. But I think even though she's won those last 2 fights well, I still think you have to say at the age that she is, that she has maybe lost half a step. She isn't as good as she used to be. So maybe Zhang is getting Shevchenko at the right time.
Than Zhang Weili.
Absolutely. And you're a big Zhang fan. I know you are. How do you see this fight going?
Favorite fights. I think I'm going to say that Zhang, in my mind, goes in as a favourite for me. I think.
Really?
I just think she's too good, and I do think that Chevy is on the slide a little bit. Those wins didn't blow me away. I don't want to say anything negative about Shevchenko because she's one of the GOATs, and she really is.
She's the Gary Neville of MMA, as we established when we picked our football teams. Yeah. She's always consistent. She's always an 8 out of 10, winning trophies.
Absolutely.
Not making too much of a fuss, just doing that job.
But I think Zhang is on fire, and I think this is such a brilliant move for her to vacate as well and go up and take on the biggest star in one of the biggest stars, I guess, in women's MMA. Certainly, like you say, one of the GOATs. I think this is GOAT versus GOAT, and I'm all over it. But I think Zhang wins.
Interesting. I was going to say to you, what do you think of this? The new way the UFC is doing things, because as we see with Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria, now Zhang Weili, there's no double champs anymore. It's all, you've got to vacate if you want to move up. Are you a fan of that, or do you miss the idea of a champion being a 2-weight champion? And even though, other than Amanda Nunes, we've never really seen a champion dip between weight classes consistently. It's always just been once they've moved up and won, they stay there. So are you a fan of the way the UFC is doing this at the moment, or do you miss the old way?
I think some of the things to consider is like what we're seeing now is pretty much a UFC card most weekends. And I think they're obviously trying to load the cards as best as they can. And I think having somebody with 2 titles, one division is going to slow down. And so for me to keep things moving, the Ilia one really surprised me. Just because, I feel like Zhang has dominated that division, and like, why not? And the same with Islam to a degree, obviously it was quite a quick vacate for Ilia, But I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing better than, you said iconic shots of Conor with 2 belts over his shoulders. It looks great, and but I think for the kind of consistency of events and divisions and contenders getting cracks at the title and not having interims, like I'm all over it.
Yeah, I mean, I do slightly miss the idea of someone being able to go up and down like that, but it's not really happened before, and other than Amanda Nunes. So I suppose we're not really missing anything. Ilia Topuria did have the iconic shot with 2 belts. He just brought his old belt with him, even though it had been vacated.
That's something I was going to say. You're still going to get that.
And are you happy with that? Like, even though he's technically not a 2-weight champion, if Islam Makhachev were to bring the lightweight belt with him, have 2 belts, if Zhang Weili did the same, are you in favour of that? Because I think I am. I'm like,
what, for a photo?
Yeah, you've earned
or,
it.
Or a bit of footage?
Yeah,
100%.
Well, in the cage, having 100%. It there, calling yourself a 2-weight champion. I'm all for it. I think just because you've vacated, I don't think there's a problem with
2 weights. End of.
Yeah,
and you worked hard for that, and put them straps over your shoulder and have your moment. 100%.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. The next fight that was announced for that card in New York was Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. Now, we've been talking for a little bit. What's next for Leon? He's on that 2-fight skid. He lost his belt to Bilal. Then he lost to Sean Brady. We've been talking for a while. The sharks have been circling. They've been smelling blood in the water. Marlon Morales, was calling him out. Carlos Prates wanted him in Rio. Ian Gary wants Leon Edwards. Everyone is looking at Leon Edwards as, I think, the easiest matchup at the highest point in the division. So how do you feel this has played out now for Leon Edwards? The fact that he's got Carlos Prates. It's not in Rio, it's in New York, but he's got Carlos Prates, who's coming off of that devastating spinning back elbow KO of Jeff Neal. How do you think this has mapped out for Leon? Is this the best he could get, or is he going into a really difficult situation? Was there better options for him?
Make no mistake, it's a difficult situation. Look at what we've just seen him do, Prates. Yeah. This is no easy fight for anyone. Prates is going to be on an absolute high at the moment and will be so confident. Whereas Leon's confidence, you'd imagine, he's probably not where it should be. And, he's coming off of the losses. And you're right. Fighters are calling him out because I do think they're thinking that he's a big name and it's a winnable fight at the moment, based on his last 2 performances. So I feel for Leon a little bit because, he's a former champ and he's a fantastic fighter. But I do think his road back to the belt, because he's not a superstar, he's not got the mouth of Ian Gary. And, I think the road back to title contention is not going to be that straightforward, and I think he's going to get things like Carlos Prates thrown his way. I hope that is the thing that is going to light a fire under Leon and just go, right, you lot are forgetting what I'm capable of, and I really hope he goes in there and he does something like what we just saw with Lauren. He goes in and does something really spectacular and just shows the world, hey, this is me. Don't forget, I was a champ. I can still be a champ, and just do something really special. Because if he loses to Prates, I can't see there being an option in the next, I don't know, 18, 19 months for him to get anywhere near a title again. I think
if he loses this fight, he never gets a sniff of a title shot again.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a 3-fight losing streak. I don't think it's an easy fight for Leon at all. However, I do think that this is the best option that he currently kind of had. I mean, he's ranked 4th. He's not going to get an easy fight when you're in the top 5 of a division like welterweight, which is really stacked at the moment and doing really, really well. So I think getting a striker, not a wrestler, getting a striker in Carlos Prates and avoiding fighting him in Rio, which, was at what Carlos Prates was calling for, is actually not bad because who else would Leon have got? I mean, I've obviously been calling for the Masvidal fight for ages. I really do want to see that fight, but I can understand that people, don't think it's right for Masvidal to be fighting a guy ranked in the top 5. I totally get it. I only want to see it for the storyline and for a winnable fight for Leon. But when you look at the options for Leon, I think Ian Gary was going to beat Leon. What's his name? Michael Morales. Did I call him Marlon Morales earlier?
You did call him Marlon earlier. I was thinking Marlon back.
Yeah. Michael Morales, sorry. He looks like an absolute killer. And Prates does too, but at least we've seen Prates lose to Ian Gary. We've seen some holes in his game. Maybe he smokes an extra cigarette and he's not got the cardio for 3 rounds or something, Carlos Prates. Who knows? But I think it's a really difficult and dangerous fight for Leon, but I think it's maybe the best of a bad bunch for him, because at least Prates as well, with a win over Prates, Leon is saying, see, I do belong here. There's a lot of hype behind Prates. He's a big name. People like Prates, and he's coming off a sensational victory. So to have this situation, if he were to beat him, I think that puts Leon in good stead. And maybe with him being a former champion, if he beats Prates and wins one more, you could give him a title shot.
Yeah.
Especially because it's not, he wouldn't be fighting a champion he's already lost to or anything like that, like he would have been in Belal if Belal would beat Jack Della. In terms of Prates, though, what an opportunity. He's ranked 9th. He'd be fighting the guy ranked 4th, a former champion, a big name in Leon Edwards, and he's getting Leon at a time that people are wondering whether Leon is done or not. And he's coming off a sensational knockout victory. A win here for Prates puts him right in the mix. I think a win over Leon doesn't get him a title shot, but it could potentially get him like a title eliminator. The problem is welterweight's so stacked. Shavkat is out still for a bit. I believe I heard something about his family being in a car accident or something like that. And so I don't know like what's gone on there and how much time he will need, and he's looking after his family and all that kind of stuff. But Shavkat, when he comes back, if he steps straight into a title shot, I've got nothing against that. Sean Brady has done enough to earn it. Ian Gary is still looking good, maybe needs one win and he's earned it. So there's a lot going on. Kamaru Usman came back and beat Joaquin Buckley, one more win and he maybe has earned it. So there's a lot going on at welterweight, and Prates is certainly someone that with a win here is a wild card to potentially get a title shot soon. Maybe if something happens on short notice, he slides in. Who knows? But I think he needs one more after this. But this puts him in a really great position if he beats Leon Edwards.
Absolutely. Lastly, on that card as well, announced recently, Erin Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez as well. That's been added.
I didn't even see that.
That's been added to 322. Yeah.
That's a good fight as well.
That's
Erin
a rematch,
Blanchfield,
right?
I don't know. Let me look it up now. Because Erin Blanchfield, obviously, she lost to Manon Fiorot, didn't she? I can't remember if she's fought since then or not. But Blanchfield is someone for a longest time I was thinking could be a champion one day. She's ranked 4th. Tracy Cortez is ranked 8th. And I'll just have to do a little bit of Googling here to just confirm a few things. But Erin Blanchfield, yeah, she lost to Manon Fiorot, then came back with a very close win, I believe it was, over Rose Namajunas. And then Tracy Cortez, yes, she lost to Tracy Cortez by split decision, although it was 6 and a bit years ago. So both women will be different fighters now. Yeah. And Tracy Cortez, she's coming off a win over Viviana Araujo, but before that, a loss to Rose Namajunas, and before that, she was unbeaten in like 7 or 8 fights or whatever it was. So this is a really big opportunity for both women to showcase that they should be next in line for a flyweight title shot. So that's a big fight that slipped past me. Let's go on to the other card, UFC 321, a bit sooner, in October in Abu Dhabi. Headlined by Aspinall Garn. We have spoken about that a bit before. But they've announced the co-main event. And I don't want to sound rude, but I don't think this is going to get Tom Aspinall any extra pay-per-view points.
No, so we're talking Jandiroba versus Mackenzie Dern. Okay, for the the strawweight title,
vacant straw, that Zhang has released.
Zhang, look, I think Jandiroba should be fighting for that vacated belt.
Yep.
Am I excited about that fight? Nah.
No, was that the end of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, just to be real, Virna Jandiroba deserves the title shot. She's on a 5-fight win streak. She's beat Lemos, she's beat Yan Janan, she's beat Lupi Godinez, who are all ranked in the top 6. She has done enough to earn the title shot. The wild card is Mackenzie Dern, I suppose, where you're kind of like, well, she's always sort of fallen short of really deserving a title shot, but she's very popular. The UFC likes her. She's got a big fan base. She's only on a 2-fight win streak, but she's 2-2 in her last 4. But Lemos lost to Jandiroba recently, as you said. Yan Janan lost to Jandiroba recently, or in her last fight even. Tatiana Suarez is up there, but she lost her last fight against Zhang for the belt. So there aren't many other options. And this gives the UFC the excuse that they needed, I suppose, to go on, Mackenzie. See what you can do.
Also,
and
let's
crucially,
try and get another American champ.
Yeah, well, she's Brazilian. Would she be down as Brazilian, Mackenzie Dern?
Oh. I don't know. I
think she's Brazilian, isn't she? You can have a Google of that. But what I will point out while you're Googling is that crucially, Mackenzie Dern has a win over Virna Jandiroba. So this does maybe make this the best fight that the UFC could make for that vacant strawweight belt.
Okay.
What have you come up with, Stu Whiffin?
Mackenzie, American-Brazilian.
No, there you go.
Mackenzie Dern is an American and Brazilian professional mixed martial artist. So... born
as
in,
Homer Simpson once said, a little column A, a little column B.
Okay, so born in Phoenix, Arizona, fighting at Huntington Beach, California.
All right. She got Brazilian parents, though. Oh, do you know what? Why are we? Who cares? She is either from Brazil or America or both. Yeah. Good luck to her. She's fighting for the belt. Good luck, Mackenzie Dern. Another fight that I don't think we'll sell any extra pay-per-views necessarily, but I think it's a really captivating fight. I'm really interested in this fight. Is Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Bautista. Umar, obviously, his last fight was the loss to Merab. Going into that fight, most people, including us, and this proves that we can sometimes be wrong, ladies and gentlemen, we thought Umar was the next champ. Everyone, I think, other than Scroobius Pip, thought Umar was about to be the next champion. And for the first 2 rounds of that title fight, it looked like we were right. And then Merab just went full Merab.
Yeah.
And, won the rest of the fight as Merab does. Now, Bautista isn't exactly a fighter that people have got behind. He had that fight with Aldo, which made people dislike him a lot because he was talking a big game and then he basically just held him up against the fence for 3 rounds, and it was a bit sad. But his last fight against Patchy Mix, he looked good.
Yeah.
So, and he's on an 8-fight win streak now. So I think this is actually really good matchmaking. You know, Umar needs... I'd like him to get 2 wins before he gets back to the belt. But maybe he only needs 1, especially if Sandhagen beats Merab.
A lot will happen there, won't it? We'll see what comes out of the wash there. If Corey actually gets the belt, then it throws it all into the air, doesn't it?
It does. But Bautista's a guy with really good wrestling, and he's got good cardio as well. So it's kind of like a sort of not quite Merab, but a Merab style matchup for Umar to show that, he's improved, he's learned. Granted, this is only over 3 rounds, and if the Merab fight was over 3 rounds, we would have had a new champion. But, a win here for Bautista would be massive. Absolutely huge. He would leap up the rankings, and I think a win here means he'd go straight into a title shot, because especially in a situation where Merab has beat a lot of the kind of top
Merab wins,
6. Yeah, I think this would be I think if Batista wins this, he's got the belt next. He's fighting Merab for the belt next, or maybe even fighting Sandhagen for the belt next. But yeah, I think this is a huge test for Batista, and it's going to be really interesting to see how Umar recovers. I'd favour Umar, but who knows? We might have all been sleeping on Mario Bautista for too long, and he goes and shows us what he's really made of. That is everything, unless you've got anything else, any other fights that have slipped past me.
Volkov Almeida's on that card, isn't it? And
it is, yeah. I think that was already announced. I can't remember, but
surely that's the winner of that's going to get the next shot.
Probably, but if it's Volkov, I mean, Tom dispatched of Volkov so easily that this is the problem we've been speaking about for Tom for ages. Now, look, there's a chance that Cyril Gane pulls something off against Tom. You never know. But if Tom does what we expect him to and beats Cyril Gane, the problem is the heavyweight division is really short of top-notch contenders. And so if it's a Volkov rematch, that won't excite people. Gelton Almeida, I mean, he lost to Curtis Blades a while back. I don't know that excites people. There's not much going on at heavyweight to get people overly excited right now, which is a real shame for Tom, because he's just become the champ at the wrong time to really move the needle and get people excited about the heavyweight division.
Do you think, obviously at 320 we've got Ankalaev versus Pereira. Do you think if Pereira loses the rematch, he's then going to start contemplating like moving up?
For me, win or lose, Pereira should just move up.
Yeah.
Because if he wins, he's got it back. There's no need to do a trilogy. I mean, there's fun fights for Pereira out there. That's the only thing, is that, like, Pereira versus Carlos Ulberg or Dominic Reyes, or, you know, a rematch against Khalil Roundtree, or maybe even Yuri Prohazka. All of those fights, I think, are very winnable striking battles for Alex Pereira to just keep the belt and keep earning money and keep being a champion. So you could argue, why risk going up to heavyweight? But if he can just, you know, try and go for glory, make history by becoming a 3-weight world champion, the time is probably now. You've got to go and try and do it now. I mean, if Cyril Gane beats Tom Aspinall, I think if you're Pereira, win or lose, you've got to move up and try and make it happen, even if you have to get one fight at heavyweight before you fight for the belt. He's only ever one away from a title shot, Alex Pereira. And if he's the champ at light heavyweight, he moves straight into a title shot. And if he's not, then he's one away against the likes of a Volkov or someone like that. So, yeah, I think he should just move up regardless, win or lose. But I can understand why he maybe wouldn't, because if he beats Ankalaev, who's his toughest fight at light heavyweight, the rest of the contenders are predominantly strikers that I think he can deal with pretty well.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. Shall we move on to UFC Paris?
Yes, let's do that.
This weekend, at a reasonable hour, UFC Paris will be here. And the biggest story, obviously, at UFC Paris is that one Harry Houdini Hardwick has made it to the UFC. Come on, Azza! He's made it to UFC. He's on 4 days' notice, and he's up a weight class to take on, and I apologise if I pronounce this wrong, Kyle Fernandez, who was supposed to be fighting Fares Ziam, who's on an absolute tear. He's on a 5-fight UFC win streak, Ziam. So Fernandez is probably looking at that as like, "Ooh, this is a more winnable fight for him." He's probably thinking. And Ziam was looking great. Unfortunately, I believe there was like a death in Ziam's family or something like that. That's what Tapology says.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but obviously wish Ziam well. This is not the way that you want someone to have a fight cancelled, and it's not the way you want one of your, you know, favourites to go and get their UFC debut in under those kind of circumstances. But these things happen. We wish Ziam and his family all the best. But Harry Hardwick in the UFC, this is where we wanted him, the Cage Warriors featherweight champion. He's on a great run in Cage Warriors, and we've been fans of him and George for such a long time. They've been on the show, seen Harry fight live. He doesn't always make it easy on himself. He gets into wars, but he's such an exciting fighter.
Can you remember that? That Harry Hardwick fight was really boring? Can you remember it?
No, mate.
No. Because they don't exist. They
don't fucking exist. Yeah.
And what better way for that crazy man to get in the UFC than on 4 days' notice? It's everything that is batshit about the Hardwicks that I love.
Yeah.
And now he's just got this opportunity. And win, lose or draw, whatever goes down in Paris when Harry Hardwick gets in the octagon, it will not be boring.
Oh, well, that's the thing. You know, he's going. He's obviously not had time to cut the weight. Fernandez is a lightweight, so Harry Hardwick's naturally a featherweight. He's moving up in weight, taking the fight on 4 days' notice against a guy that is 3 fights into his UFC career already.
Yeah.
So the deck is stacked against Harry Hardwick here, but this is where I want him to just come out, head down, swinging, going crazy, use that cardio, just go for broke and put on a show. Because as you say, win, lose or draw, if he puts on a show, the UFC will keep him around. So
100%, mate.
Yeah,
100%.
Best of luck to Harry Hardwick. Let's move on to less important things on the card, like the main event.
And also, just quickly, if you are just big UFC fans listening to this, and you're not sort of big fans of other organisations, jump on Fight Pass or jump on YouTube and just watch Harry Hardwick. Like, just watch his Cage Warriors fights, just to honestly, because you can obviously hear how excited Blake and I are about him. Like, go and watch him, and like I am with Luke Riley, like. Just super exciting, and like go and get stuck in, because there's loads to get yourself really warmed up for his fight on Saturday. Go and get stuck in. Sorry, mate, I just had to throw that in there just in case people hadn't.
I absolutely agree. I'm glad you said it. So as we say, the main event of the evening, which is actually, this is a banger of a fight. Nassourdine Imavov versus Kyle Borralho. It's sort of the first fight in this 4-man tournament to see who Khamzat defends his belt against first. We got Reinier de Ridder versus Fluffy Hernandez in Vancouver on October 18th. Dana White has already basically said whoever puts in the best performance out of these 4 men will fight Khamzat next. So that means you can't be boring going into this fight. You know, at one point you probably thought this is the nailed on number 1 contender fight. Whoever wins this is fighting for the belt next. So they might go into it a bit cagey. They might just try and eke out a points decision or something like that, whatever it might be. They can't do that anymore. It's now, what's the more impressive win? The winner of this fight or the winner of Fluffy versus Reinier de Ridder? And that means that the people in this fight have got to go for it. You know, they can't sit back and squeak out a split decision or a boring unanimous decision or anything like that, because that just means that Reinier de Ridder and Fluffy Hernandez are licking their lips going, oh, yes, it's up for grabs. We can do it. If someone wins here with a devastating knockout, for example, that puts way more pressure on Fluffy and Reinier de Ridder coming up in October in Vancouver. So this is an absolute banger.
I've got 2 questions about the 4, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, out of Imavov and Borralho, like, how do you see this one going? But of the 4, who do you think's got the skill set to beat what looks like an undefeatable Khamzat?
They're 2 brilliant questions. I haven't done enough research into like watching the tapes and stuff like that to really see with this. I know Nassourdine Imavov has got good wrestling, but he is a great striker. He's more of a striker. Kyle Borralho might pose a really interesting threat because he's very good at jiu-jitsu. And when we look at Khamzat's toughest fight, you'd probably say maybe it's... Well, actually, you could argue it's the Kamaru Usman fight, actually, because that, to me, was a draw. But the Gilbert Burns fight really stands out. That stands out a tough fight. And you could argue that maybe Khamzat was a little bit wary of going to the ground too much with Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns locking up a really good guard. He's such a great jiu-jitsu practitioner. Maybe it's a bit too dangerous. So it ended up becoming a striking battle. Kyle Borralho might represent a similar thing. Now, he's not as decorated as far as I'm aware as Gilbert Burns, but he's a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. And he's showed, like in the Jared Cannonier fight, he can strike. Like, he can strike with good strikers. So And he's a big dude. Like, Kyle Borralho might be very comfortable on his back and be able to give as good as he gets on the feet. So that could be a really fascinating fight. Renier de Ridder has got size. He's a 2-weight champion in one championship. If he lands a knee to the body, I know some people might say that Hamzat, after 5 rounds against Dricus du Plessis, has showcased that cardio isn't an issue for him. I don't subscribe to that narrative yet, because du Plessis wasn't able to put pressure on him enough to really test that cardio. Whereas Renier de Ridder, if he's throwing those knees to the body and he's too hard to get down because of his size and all that stuff, maybe that's difficult for Hamzat. Fluffy Hernandez, I think Hamzat takes him down maybe for the first 2 rounds, and if he hasn't been able to do enough to him there, Fluffy's got ridiculous cardio. He's like a big Marab. So that could be a problem. So I could make an argument for all 4 being able to cause him different problems. But the reality is, given what we saw from Hamzat, I do not believe any of the 4 of them will actually beat Hamzat Chimaev. Mm-hmm. So it's tricky. I could put on a hat and go, oh, this is why this person could be a real problem for Hamzat. But the reality is, I think Hamzat takes out all 4 of them. But it'll be interesting to see. In terms of this specific fight, I don't know, man, because how's Nasruddin Imavov going to respond to the French crowd? Are they going to give him an extra 10%? And are they going to because the French crowd is electric. They are a fantastic crowd, that Parisian crowd. So will that give him an extra 10%?
Definitely.
But sometimes it has the adverse effect. Sometimes it's too much pressure. And maybe Borralho goes in there with less pressure. And Borralho seems like the kind of cool guy as well that will take it all in his stride. He's that fighting nerds captain. He's always there for fighting nerds, fighters to back them up. He hasn't been as active recently. I think it's been about a year since his last fight. So that could play a factor. I don't know, man. I might lean Borralho.
So I got a little bit of info here as well. Imavov was originally lined up as the backup for Dricus versus Chimaev, but opted out because he wanted to keep fighting rather than waiting on standby.
That's interesting. But I like that. I like the activity.
Obviously he must have known that Paris was imminent.
Yeah. And funnily enough, wasn't Borralho the backup and now he's fighting in Paris?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he could have done both anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is 2 high caliber fighters. There's an awful lot at stake. These guys are fighting for a number 1 contender spot. Mm-hmm. And they've got to do it in style because of that other fight coming up in Vancouver. So this, to me, has everything. It has the Parisian crowd, 2 top-tier fighters, really interesting style matchups.
Massive implications.
A lot at stake. Huge implications. So, yeah, this main event has absolutely everything, and I cannot wait for this fight. I'm trying to think if there's... I had some other stuff. I feel like we've kind of covered the fight, really. But, let's not forget that Imavov's last fight was that knockout of Israel Adesanya, which looked very, very good as well. Really great fight. Co-main event, Benoit Saint-Denis versus Mauricio Ruffi. Thoughts on this one? Because I'm really excited about this as well.
Yeah, this has got all the makings of an absolute tear up. But both of them like to throw down, and I think Benoit's going to have that French crowd losing their shit. I think this could possibly be fight of the night.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think we're going to learn so much about Mauricio Ruffi in this fight. Because I think Benoit Saint-Denis is going to be sensible and try and take Ruffi down. Because Ruffi looks so technical, so skilled, so slick on the feet. And we saw that he's got knockout power as well, particularly with that spinning wheel kick of Bobby Green, which was insane. But can you do all of that? Can you maintain all of that when ex-French Foreign Legion soldier who's got the French crowd behind him is just diving for your legs and trying to smash you on the ground? It's going to be interesting. I mean, Benoit Saint-Denis has had a really mixed go of it of late. He was someone that we all thought, oh my God, this guy is incredible. Then he lost to Dustin Poirier. No shame in that. But then he got absolutely smashed in Paris by Moicano. That was an absolute battering at home in front of the home crowd. Will the ghosts of that be exercised in this fight, or will they kind of be lingering, haunting him as he's stepping into the octagon? We don't know. But the game plan surely will be to take Ruffy down and see what goes on there. And if Mauricio Ruffy can pop back up to his feet or stuff a couple of takedowns and then knock out Benoit Saint-Denis, we've got a real legit contender on our hands there, because I'm really excited for Mauricio Ruffy. But he's not really shown it against the wrestlers yet. And that's something that Benoit can test him with. And that's what I really want to see happen. The last fight for Benoit Saint-Denis as well was short notice. Carl Prepelec came in on short notice and he was able to beat him pretty easily, as you would expect. So Benoit maybe has some of his confidence back, but as again, he's stepping into that same place that he was absolutely smashed by Moicano in. And it's whether he can overcome that. Have you got any other thoughts on this fight?
No, I think if you're Benoit Saint-Denis, you've been in the French Foreign Legion, you've got a strong mindset.
That's very true.
I think he puts away and he goes to the Moicano fight. I think I'm sure he's got a very good headspace when he needs to have one.
Who are you picking?
I'm going to go with Benoit. I love Benoit, and I know that, he's come up short, and we was all getting so excited about him. But I just like the way he fights. He just looks like an angry man anyway. And,
he does.
Yeah, and and I'd like to see him do something really special in front of the home crowd, because, as you mentioned, I think it was when he first fought in front of that big Paris crowd. I can't think who the commentators were, but they were like, "Oh my God, I've never heard a crowd like this." And we've been in the O2 and we've heard crowds go insane. When Paddy made that ring walk, that was unreal to be standing there in the middle of that. But hearing that crowd in Paris, it was huge. And I just think, I think everything's going to fall right for Benoit this weekend.
I'm going to go the other way.
Oh, yeah?
There's something about the fighting nerds at the moment. I think maybe they do a double in Paris. The two French boys go home sad, and the Brazilians, the fighting nerds, they stick on the glasses, they have a party. Borralho and Ruffy absolutely nail it. And I love Benny Saint-Denis. He's one of my faves. But when you show me a guy that is as slick and technical and just fun to watch, got that karate kind of early days Conor McGregor style about his striking, and then he's spinning wheel kicks King Green and knocks him out. I was in Australia in a bar in Brisbane when that happened, and everyone just went, whoa! And it's moments like that make this sport so much fun for me. And I love seeing video game kung fu movie stuff, and that's what Mauricio Ruffy brings. And so I really want to believe in that style. I want to believe in Ruffy, and I hope he does it in Paris. A fight that I'm not going to pick anyone to win in, because how can you pick between these two men, is Paul Craig and Modestas Bukauskas. I don't really know what I can say about it. I'm just a bit sad they're fighting.
Well, it's an interesting one, because both, Paul's been on the show, maybe 3 times now? And Modestas has been on, and both such lovely blokes.
Lovely guys.
Really, really top gents. Look, I was so happy to see Paul Craig re-sign with the UFC, because he's not had the best of luck in recent fights, and I thought, when I saw the big words Paul Craig in UFC, I did wonder if he was going to get cut, and he hasn't. He's re-signed, which is fantastic, because he's got wins over multiple champions. He's got a win over over, I won't say the current champion, because he's fighting at middleweight now. No, this is a
this is light heavyweight. Yeah, he has. He's got a win over the current champ. He's got a win over Ankalaev and former champ Jamal Hill.
Yeah, he's gone back because he dropped down, didn't he, Paul Craig? And
he's back up now.
Yeah, he's back up. Right. Oh, okay. And he's got a win over Ankalaev and a win over Jamal Hill. So I watched the Jamal Hill stoppage again the other day. That is fucking brutal. That is
nasty, isn't it?
Like his arm, he's just like a fish just flipping everywhere, and you just think, oh my God. Like, but yeah, so look, we all know Paul Craig's ground game is one of the best in the UFC. Like, but his submission game is unbelievable. But what we've seen, in lots of his recent fights, that it's not always that easy to get him into them positions where he can kind of get that stuff off. And what we've got with Modestas is we've got a big hitter in Modestas, somebody that he's a training partner of Big Tom Aspinall, and he's moving around with some big boys, eating big shots, throwing big shots, and so I mean, I did think Modestas was his last fight that I actually thought he didn't win, and he got the nod in it, and I thought.
I can't remember now.
I'm sure it
was. Maybe, that's ringing a bell, yeah.
And, I felt that he come out quite lucky from that one. But I'm not mad at it because, he's a friend of the show. And yeah. But, yeah, the fact that they're fighting each other, I think this could be really, really interesting. And I think if Modestas gets his striking going, I think he could keep himself out of trouble there and get a win over Paul Craig.
Yeah, I hear you. Another Brit on the card, Sam Patterson. Sam lost his debut down at lightweight. We were in attendance for that one. It was a nasty knockout. But since then, he moved up to welterweight and he's won 3 on the bounce, all in the first round. So he's on an absolute tear, Sam Patterson now. Trey Anderson is who he is fighting, a guy with 2 UFC wins, but he's not very active. He had his first fight in April of 2023, then his second fight in May of 2024. It's now, 16 months later, and he's having his third fight. So we'll have to see what happens there. I don't know why he's so inactive, Trey Anderson. Maybe it's injuries or something else.
I'm not sure. Is it Trey Waters?
I've put down Trey Anderson.
I thought it was Trey Waters. I might be wrong.
Maybe Google that for me. But look, Sam Patterson has been absolutely smashing it lately. Trey Waters, you're right. Why did I have Trey Anderson down? Who the hell is Trey Anderson? I wonder if that was an autocorrect on my computer or if I've just gone a bit mental. But
Sam
Trey
clearly
Waters
looking great at welterweight and come into the UFC, with a lot of people talking about how good this guy's been in other organisations, and like you say, that first fight at the O2 was not the best start in the UFC, but he's gone away and come back, and in that time as well has been down to the show, come in the studio, such a top lad as well, and I'm really excited to see his climb up the rankings because I'm expecting big things for Sam.
Yeah, I'm also just trying to work out who the fuck Trey Anderson is. And yet another Brit on the card, Mason Jones. He's taking on Balaji Oki. I haven't actually looked too much into this one. Do you know much about Balaji Oki?
I don't. But obviously. Mason come off that win over Jeremy Stevens, which big name for Mason Jones to have on his record. And I think he was a 2-division Cage Warriors champ, got cut and come back with that dominant sort of performance over Jeremy Stevens. So. I think we're going to see Mason keep moving forwards now. He's again former guest of the show and top lad. So, are you still Googling Trey Anderson?
No, I'm actually trying to look up Balaji Oki. who's from Belgium. So he might have some local support. Belgium not far from France, obviously, right next door. He lost to Chris Duncan, Borralho, not in his last fight, but in his one before that. Chris Duncan got a first-round guillotine choke submission of him. But prior to that, he was on a very long win streak outside of the UFC and had one win in the UFC. So he's now 2-1 in the UFC, Borralho, with one of those losses to Chris Duncan. So we'll see how Mason Jones gets on with him in this one.
While we're talking about British fights, just quickly, one of the other cancellations aside from Fernandez, his match up against Fares, in the women's flyweight division, we was hoping to see the debut of Kennedy Freeman. She was due to fight Yanesi Dubin. Both fighters withdrew due to injuries, so that bout was scrapped. But yeah, interested to see the daughter of Ian Freeman making her UFC debut.
Yeah, fingers crossed she's not too badly injured. It's something they can get sorted quite quickly.
Absolutely. What else you want to talk about, mate?
There are a couple of other really interesting fights on this card, actually. One of them is Patricio Pitbull fighting, and again, apologies for the pronunciation, Lucene Keita. And this is really interesting because Keita is on his debut. He's a 2-weight octagon champion, and he's fighting Patricio Pitbull on his UFC debut. Now, this is a weird one for Pitbull to take. This feels very much high risk, low reward. Like, no one outside of fans of the octagon promotion are going to necessarily know who Keita is and how good he is. So Patricio Pitbull wins this. It's like, yeah, I just beat a guy, I got another UFC win, moving on. But if he loses, people, obviously Keita gets so much from this. Keita would be ranked 11th in the UFC after his debut. He's beaten a huge name in Patricio Pitbull. This feels like all win for Keita and not very much win for Pitbull.
Well, look, our good friend Brian Lacey, who works for Octagon, has long been telling us about, so many of the fighters in that organisation and how big that organisation is across Europe, it's filling out huge arenas. And so you wonder if the UFC are looking at him and just going, look, this guy's fireworks. Like, let's get him in here and let's really strap a rocket to him and give him something big. And if he makes if he makes something special happen against Pitbull, then let's see what we can do, and let's throw some more fire at that featherweight division.
Yeah, another fighter from Belgium, I believe, as well. So a few guys from Belgium on there. They'll probably have a lot of big support. The other fight that I think is quite interesting is Marcin Tybura taking on Anton Delija, who was a former PFL tournament winner. I think it was back in 2022. And, another guy on his debut that if he beats Marcin Tybura could be ranked 7th in the heavyweight division. The UFC, I think, is becoming very well aware that they need fresh blood in that division. That division needs heavyweights. It needs potential competition for Tom Aspinall. It needs something. So getting a guy who was a former champion in the PFL over probably didn't cost that much either. Let's be realistic. Is going to be good, but they need to test him. And if he can beat a Marcin Tybura, who's been in the top 10 for years now, it seems, then he's legit. And, another win or maybe two after that, and he could be looking at a title shot, especially if he gets it in good fashion. So that'll be a really interesting one. Marcin Tybura, versus Anton Delija. I'm trying to think. Sean O'Bannon is also on this card. William Gomi is on this card as well. I'm a big fan of William Gomi. I remember when we watched him live at Cage Warriors. I think it's the first Cage Warriors event we ever went to. During the pandemic. It was like us and about 6 other people in there.
Where we first met each other. It's our first date.
Oh my God, it was our first date, Stu, with him in real life. And we had to wear our face masks. It was all pandemic times and everything as well in the stadium or in the arena, whatever you would call it.
Got to hang out with the newly crowned champ Ian Gary as well.
We did. We got him some Skittles. Saw him fight. Was it Jack Grant that he beat?
It was
for the title. So yeah, and I can't remember the guy who William Gomi fought, but I think his nickname was like the Terminator. It's Harissa.
It was Harissa.
Harissa.
It was.
Yeah. And that was such an interesting fight because it was like William Gomi was on the back foot the entire fight, but he just looked so slick and was just picking him off with kicks and punches and strikes. Thomas Harissa was just like the Terminator, just coming forward and just wouldn't stop. But he just clearly didn't have the technical prowess of William Gomi, who I'm a big fan of. I like his fights. I think he's really good. He's fighting Robert Ruchala, who I don't know much about. But
technical prowess as well. Reese McKee, Northern Ireland's Reese McKee,
yes,
former guest of the show.
McKee.
Reese
Yes.
McKee, he's fighting Axel Solar as well. So best of luck to Reese. What a lovely fella he is as well.
Yep. So there you go. So there's a lot of British and Irish fighters on the card. So a lot to look forward to there. Plus, as we've mentioned, fantastic co-main event, fantastic main event, and a few other interesting fights sprinkled in as well. So this is going to be a top to bottom, really, really good card over in Paris, I think.
And best of luck to Trey Anderson making his MMA debut this weekend.
Good luck, Trey Anderson. If anyone wants to print some T-shirts just saying who is Trey Anderson, then let me know.
We'll be back next time, and we will be looking back over all of the action from the weekend and talking about all the UFC news and whatever other cards are coming your way. You know the drill by now. And the drill is we always finish by saying go and use that discount code SWEETMMA at Fat Candy, sponsors of this show. And then I say goodbye, and then Blake Harrison always says
bye.